Creature Commandos is a fun DC superhero series with interesting real-life apocalyptic lore, so let's talk about that. Creature Commandos builds off the story that started in Suicide Squad in the DCEU, which focused on the government trying to use DC villains for special missions to protect the world. The Suicide Squad from the original film was made up of characters both human and non-human, but after new restrictions have made it illegal to use humans, Amanda Waller decides to use non-human monster prisoners in Creature Commandos. The first season is only 7 episodes long, with each getting into the backstory of one of the Creature Commandos, in a format similar to the series Lost. Each episode focuses on the main mission that the Commandos are on, but with one character having flashbacks that sets them up to be this misunderstood person that was deemed a monster by society and eventually ended up in prison. To make Creature Commandos distinct, it mostly uses new characters to the DCEU that existed earlier in the comics. The main character of these, if any, would be the Bride, who obviously looks like the Bride of Frankenstein. But we also get this radioactive Dr. Phosphorus, Nina the Fish Girl, a World War II GI robot, and to connect the story more to the existing DCEU in the live-action films, they also included a character named Weasel, who appeared in the second Suicide Squad film led by James Gunn. To connect the stories, James Gunn also includes Amanda Waller in the show, who is even voiced by her actress Viola Davis. The real leader of the show, however, is General Richard Flagg, the father of another important character from James Gunn's Suicide Squad film. With the Creature Commandos being prisoners regardless of their different moral alignment, Richard is the one who has to keep them in order while trying to maintain the mission, which this season is helping Princess Alana Rostovic, ruler of the fictional country of Pokolistan. Pokolistan is an Eastern European nation from the DC Comics universe, often used as commentary on real-life conflicts from the greater region. In Creature Commandos, Pokolistan is developing a deal to provide its oil to the US, but Princess Alana is being attacked by a terroristic group called the Sons of Themyscira, led by an Amazonian woman named Circe. The land of Themyscira is generally the home of the more well-known Wonder Woman, also known to be an Amazon in the greater DC canon. Whereas Wonder Woman is an Amazon warrior, however, Circe was known as a sorceress who is said to have great power to see the future. She was said to have initially used this power to save as many of her own people as she could from the Great Flood, but since then, she has been known to use her powers to lead to seemingly horrible outcomes, though for Circe, that might not actually be the case. Right now, Circe has turned the people of Pokolistan against their royal family in an attempt to kill Princess Alana, who plays rather innocent, but is clearly working on a much bigger plan than she lets on. In general, she acts more progressive than her people, dismissing them as ignorant as she makes deals to bring their culture into that of the greater world, and with that, the world's culture into her own kingdom. Now, Circe is a sorceress with different powers, but with the gift of prophecy, she is said to only get glimpses of what is to come if she doesn't do something to affect this natural flow. In episode 4, Circe gives these visions to Amanda Waller to convince her that she is on the right path trying to kill Alana. In these visions, we see Alana go from a Disney princess, as they call her, to a leader of monsters and warriors who drops bombs all over the world. The montage we see here includes heinous executions of masses of humans. This is what starts World War III, according to Circe, but it goes beyond that and into apocalyptic imagery. In the background, for instance, we see the heroes of the DC-verse have been killed and crucified, with close-ups of fan favorites like Batman, and most importantly, Superman. Superman isn't just the lead hero of the DC universe, but he's also presented specifically as the Christ figure in the DCEU, which this cartoon is still rooted in, even if there's been some weird continuity jumps as the films have tried to do their little soft reboot. But the original Man of Steel by Zack Snyder still has a lot of Christ symbolism surrounding Superman, and that carries over here. The implication in Creature Commandos is that Superman is the Jesus Christ figure, and the other heroes are the early disciples who died spreading the great religion, and the later martyrs who are supposed to die upholding this religion in the end times. In the book of Revelation from the Bible and earlier in the book of Ezekiel, the end times are described as being marked by wars started by Gog of Magog. Gog is described as a prince from the land of Magog, which is referred to as a land to the north in these passages about Gog. Magog is also mentioned in the Table of Nations as one of the descendants of Japheth, the father of the Europeans. Based on his territory in that early history, the Magog of these apocalyptic texts has been theorized to be as close as Turkey, with others suggesting that Gog of Magog may come out as far as Europe based on how far Japheth's descendants were said to travel. Ilana here in Creature Commandos just becomes that prince in female form, a woman who ends up working the world up into a great war that would lead to an apocalyptic ending. In some interpretations of the figure of Gog of Magog, he is supposed to be the Antichrist himself, and we get some symbolism for that in the show as well. In the final episode, Ilana is sitting in front of a window in her office where she looks not just angelic, but Luciferian, like a fallen golden angel. When she sits in front of the window, its design seems clearly to make it look like she has angelic wings coming out of her. And later, when the bride shoots her and we get a different angle of her fallen back in her chair, it's once again set up so that this time, it's the chair that gives her these golden wings. And she almost got away with everything. For a while, Amanda Waller became convinced that she was wrong about Ilana, not just due to the visions given to her by Circe, but because of the testimony of the supposed expert on Themyscira, who insisted that Circe's powers are to see the future and share visions of the future, but not just to give people random visions that she creates herself. Circe is a sorceress with different powers, however, and after being tricked by the supposed expert for a moment, they realized that it was actually a shape-shifting monster who took the form of the expert in order to make Amanda Waller believe the visions on behalf of Circe, convincing her that it was a real prophecy. Because of this, Amanda calls off the attack on Ilana, thinking that Circe manipulated her into killing an innocent princess, but the bride doesn't think that's the case. In the final episode, the bride claimed to be motivated mostly by wanting to avenge her dead friend Nina, the most innocent of the Creature Commandos who tried to treat these monsters like humans, who tried to kill Ilana herself just to end up dying. To justify revenge on killing her only friend, the bride decides to believe that Circe wasn't wrong about Ilana at all, that she was more mischievous than she seemed, pointing out how Ilana had meeting with monsters before the Creature Commandos even arrived, and clearly seducing General Flag in order to get the Creature Commandos on her side. If Circe does have the power to see the future and is trying to avoid a bad outcome, it makes sense that some of the visions she receives are about being stopped with her own various attempts to defeat Ilana. If she saw a future where Amanda Waller captured her and didn't believe her visions, having a fake expert ready to back them up might have been the edge she needed to make sure her plan went through. Her visions may not even be fake, but in order to get Amanda Waller to believe her, this outside expert would be necessary. They could also be entirely illusion, however, fantasies made up entirely by Circe, but she doesn't seem to have a reason to want to stop Ilana in particular if she isn't destined to do something terrible. For me, I choose to believe that the visions were true and that the fake expert was just there to convince Amanda Waller. The show has set up the possibility of future seasons, however, and Circe is still out there. Even with Ilana's story wrapped up with a bullet through her head, that still leaves Circe as a real antagonist or person of interest at the very least for future seasons. She was the one that got the US government involved with Pokolistan, and it makes sense to me that future seasons would explore Circe further manipulating world events. This whole battle with Ilana could be just the beginning of Circe constantly trying to keep humanity away from the brink of destruction. The Creature Commandos are a full-fledged squad now, and even have some new members that were added at the end of the season. So it makes sense to me that by coincidence or fate, they'd end up crossing paths with Circe again, whose greater plans, whether good or evil, go well beyond what we've seen so far, I think. But what do you guys think? As far as superhero shows go, this is one I actually enjoyed quite a bit, but since I'm not really a big superhero guy, my tastes are a bit biased. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you like this kind of mythological perspective when talking about cartoons, consider checking out our earlier video we did on the Atlantis movie from Disney, where I connect all the different myths from around the world to try to prove Atlantis was real. Link in the pinned comment down below. And while you're down there, consider joining the Cartoon Universe Discord server to talk with us and other fans about all these different cartoons. See you guys there.
Careful, Racer! He almost beat you last time!
I guess we'll have no choice but to battle till the very end, our hands all over each other. No homo. There is no homo that I fear. Well then, may the best homo win!
Wait, what did you say?